One of the virtues of middle age is that it affords a perspective on friends and acquaintances. I've known the next speaker for around 15 years, from his days as a callow youth to more recent times in which he has prospered as husband and paterfamilias. A certain ethical slide is evident. The Catholic schoolboy idealist who revered all things French and inclined toward the left in his politics has matured into an amoral blackguard. The type of chap who steals wine from parliamentary functions, pals around with decadent swingers, and gets reprimanded for downloading too much erotic material at work. Kevin Pryor's highest ambition these days is to swap jobs with his wife. Given all he does is push cheap wine at supermarkets, whilst she fits everyone from Hillcrest virgins to Hollywood Oscar-winning actresses for bras and lingerie, who can blame him? Kevin Pryor.
Thank you, Richard. That's the last time I'll ever get a DVD out from or to house. Yep, there's the Pope. He's a great politician, clearly. Hitler Youth before moving to an even less democratic organisation. Did well there. So yeah, I got interested in politics when I was about 14. I was sitting at home watching a TV series about the Kennedys with my mum when I developed a crush on Jackie O. And from then on, I wanted to become a JFK-like figure myself in order to win my very own Jackie. Oh. And I did end up marrying a woman, of course, who reminded me of her. Got a weird surname and all. Here we are, pictured outside our house. Got a son as well. I'm not quite sure where he is here. He might taking the photo, I think. Yeah. But yes, the next and final step in my political career was working for high-flying local MP Diane Yates. A smooth operator in all respects, Yates remains the longest-serving MP in Hamilton history. I also was responsible for running her 2005 campaign, which she lost by over 5,000 votes. After being dumped out of a job, I started to lose a bit of interest in politics. One of the other deterrents was fundraising. Without a rich Irish bootlegger dad like JFK, all money needs to be raised by hand. And in the Labour Party, this means garage sales. But should you want to enter this world, the first thing you need is an entourage. Like a rap star, a politician's entourage is there to make him look important. Here we have candidate Mark Servian's posse, Nandor to Mark's left to appeal to the kids, and on the right, Rob Hamill. You also need to join a political party. This way, like David Bennett, you attract campaign hacks. Great thing about volunteers is that they deliver flyers into areas like Poets' Corner that no candidate in his right mind would want to visit in person. Once you've joined a party, of course, you'll be supplied with billboards, which as well as promoting a candidate, also give people walking home from the pub something to do. Here we have David Cameron, whose cheap slogan has been considerably enhanced by a cock and balls. The ritual of kissing a baby is a threshold that any politician needs to cross. This is W's effort, his handling of this baby demonstrating his paternal qualities and showing he's capable of running a country as competently as he handles a baby. The Chinese Politburo illustrates another key political skill, sucking up. While the West is not quite as extreme, it's useful to remember that the first party member in this picture to sit down after his leader's speech is currently living in a gulag on the Siberian border. You can't enter this life without having a thick skin. You've got to expect a bit of biff. Parliament might not have quite reached the corruption levels yet of boxing, but there's an old saying in Australian politics which is equally true here. If you want a friend in Canberra, buy a dog. You also need the ability to shout things in public. If you've got a weak voice, you need to invest in a megaphone. If you're at a hostile public meeting, there's no point relying on facts. Just turn the volume up to 11 and simply yell at people until you get your view across. If you're in the public arena, you also need to cultivate an image, something the media can easily latch onto. These tend to fall into a few broad categories. Here we have an example of a charismatic type. With Winston, facts play second fiddle to having an immaculate suit and the possession of a winning grin. Being a bully is another style you can choose. Sir Robert Muldoon was a noted intimidator, and here he is with the American ambassador negotiating a new ANZUS agreement. We can probably guess who came out on top. At the opposite end of the spectrum from the bully is the relaxed politician. Here we have our Prime Minister, who clearly is relaxed about a whole lot of things. Basically, this type will feign an easygoing nature in order to pass unpopular legislation without anybody noticing. Similar to the relaxed politician is the bore. Basically, here you cultivate such a boring public image that no one listens when you make a speech, which enables you to pass any bills you want. Also means you can sneak into cabinet when nobody's looking. The complete contrast to the two previous types is the rabble-rouser, otherwise known as a crazy person. This type of politician completely divorces themselves from facts or common sense. You know you're really far out when, like Miss Palin, you get sacked by Fox News for being too extreme. Of a more common variety than the more exotic examples I mentioned are the backbenchers. A little too fond of towing the party line, they're forever doomed to remain outside cabinet. Even if somehow they do scrape in, it's only likely to be as the Associate Minister of Fisheries. But if you manage to escape the backbench and reach cabinet, this is where you need to railroad through your agenda. Steamroll opposition by requesting public submissions during large distracting events like the Rugby World Cup, or by passing controversial legislation in the week before Christmas. But in the end, why on earth would you stop there? A true politician will never step down from the job they love. Like feed oil, the real test of skill is to seize control of the state and simply abandon democracy altogether. Then you'll truly have a job for life. Thank you.
We would note, of course, that Fidel did step down, Kevin. Never mind. He's still there, mate.